Stop compromising your needs, your wants, and your desires. If this is something that you find that you do all the time, you are watching the right video. And the reason for why I made this video is because I have done it myself countless times. So I understand where you are coming from. I understand the reason for why we compromise our needs, our wants, our desires within relationships. And it doesn't have to just be romantic relationships, right? It can be professional relationships, relationships with friends and family. But for this video in particular, I'm talking about romantic relationships, why we do those things in our relationships, and how to stop it, how to stop doing that. Because you deserve to maintain your identity. You deserve to be understood and seen. You deserve to be confident in expressing your needs and your wants and desires. And I know that sounds easier than it can be, right? Because if there's a lot of things that you're dealing with in regards to insecurities, feeling rejected, abandonment issues, all those types of things, of course, that's going to play a role in this, in you setting particular boundaries and you letting your partner know what your needs and your expectations are. But I wanted to have this conversation because it's something that comes up all the time in my one-on-one coaching sessions. That being said, if you don't know who I am, my name is Danny and I am a life and relationship coach, and I focus on the LGBTQIA+ community in helping you guys build healthy relationships. You know, I say this in my videos, I've said it in my videos before. I think there's this perception that queer people cannot have healthy relationships for whatever reason, but it is simply not true. It's about learning the fundamentals of a relationship, gaining and having access to the tools and resources to learn how to have a healthy relationship, and then applying it so that you actually feel fulfilled. And a lot of that also has to do with the internal self-work. So why, right? Why do we sacrifice, bend on our needs and our expectations? And one of the things that I have come to find is it stems from our desire to be accepted. We, as a community, have experienced a lot of rejection. You know, if I'm talking about myself and I'm giving you guys a little bit of a backstory with myself, I experienced rejection all throughout my childhood, particularly when it came to schooling, right? In middle school, elementary school, it was a horrible time for me because it was a period of wanting to be accepted, wanting to feel equal, but not really being given that opportunity because I was different. Now, I identify as bisexual, and bisexuality in and of itself has its challenges even within the queer community and the gay community, because there isn't a lot of education or understanding around what it really means to be bisexual. A lot of people feel like it's just a transitionary phase into actually being gay, which is not true. And if this is something that is an issue, or if you're bisexual and you've experienced that yourself, please make sure you leave a comment down below so we can have that open discussion, because I think the more conversation around a particular topic, the more the education and the more we're able to unpack these stereotypes and these perceptions that may not necessarily be true. Anyways, I digress. My experience growing up was a difficult one because I was rejected a lot. And I'm sure this is something that you have experienced yourself. I'm sure this is something that you can relate to. So when we experience that level of rejection, we have a tendency of feeling repressed. So a lot of our inability to set expectations or express our expectations is, again, the desire to be accepted. You know, being repressed, rejected, and discriminated against results in a desire to be loved, to be accepted, to be supported by the community, by whatever community you're in, right? And this desire, if it's rooted in pain, can result in loose boundaries and harmful behavior. So loose boundaries usually is directly correlated to not having a strong sense of self or strong sense of self-identity. So the question becomes, how do we stop? How do we stop allowing our boundaries to be crossed? How do we stop being afraid to express our needs and our expectations within a relationship? Because at the end of the day, going into a relationship, having a strong sense of self is necessary because you're also giving a roadmap to your partner of how you want to be treated. And if you don't necessarily know how you want to be treated or how you view yourself, you're essentially teaching your partner that you don't know yourself, therefore they don't know you. And if they have a stronger character, they're going to impose that character on you. It's a dynamic issue. So how do we stop it? The first thing is self-reflection, right? And the journey to self-awareness is not an easy one, but it is worth it. Believe me when I tell you that. And you can use certain tools and techniques to start that process. So journaling, meditation, support groups, therapy, to be able to work on your self-identity and your self-esteem issues. And when I work with clients, particularly in this area, it's really about bringing awareness to your emotions, to your core emotions, which a lot of the times we try to deny or repress or hide because it's too painful of an experience. But at the end of the day, working through that pain actually creates more individual strength. It makes you more well-rounded, and it helps you to identify why you may be reacting in particular ways because you understand the root of the issue, right? The second thing here is you learn to say no. If something makes you uncomfortable, recognize the power of saying no. At the end of the day, you are not responsible for someone else's lack of awareness or understanding. That is not your job. And if you are taking on that responsibility, if you are feeling bad about how you may be feeling or making somebody else feel, there's two things to look out for and there's two things to ask yourself. Number one, do I feel bad because of the delivery of my message? Which means, are you saying it in a kind way or are you saying it in a mean way, right? Because 99% of the time, it's not about the message itself, it's about the delivery of the message. If we don't understand how our partner takes in information, that can result in arguments and fights and defensiveness and all of those things. So number one, be aware of how you are communicating your needs and your expectations. And number two, do you even know what your needs and your expectations are? Because if you don't know what your needs and your expectations are and you're saying no to a bunch of random stuff because it's making you feel uncomfortable without explanation, then it just feels like you are continually rejecting your partner. But if you have a good understanding as to why it makes you feel uncomfortable and you are confident in that, you have the ability to express that in a healthy, productive way. And the third thing here is recognize your value. You have value, and you will attract someone that appreciates that value when you accept yourself. I so often find that in the gay community, we have a tendency of leading with the exterior. And this is not applicable to every single person because I know a lot of people that have focused on their shadow work, that have focused on really unpacking particular traumas, insecurities, fears, and all of that, and have come to a place where they are very much emotionally and mentally developed, right? But we so often lead with the external. Our looks, our physique, how we express ourselves, making sure that we are making people laugh and we're comedic, but we're also successful and we're serious and we're all of these types of things. It's all these pressures that we put on ourselves. But the part that we miss is really taking a step back and looking internally and asking ourselves, have we accepted truly who we are, or are we wearing a mask every time we walk out the door? And if you are putting on a mask whenever you walk out the door, guess what? That mask has to come off at some point, and then you are right back to doubting yourself, having those insecurities, feeling rejected, and all of those things. And I get it. I've done this many, many, many times before, and there's still days where I do that, where I'm not feeling fully confident in myself. So I open up my bag of masks and I pull out that one that I've been comfortable with for so long, right? So for example, with myself, if I'm in a really dark space, if I feel depressed, if I feel anxious, my immediate go-to is to make everybody else feel good. I'm the comedian, I'm the jokester. I crack jokes, I do all of that stuff, but it's really to hide the pain that I'm feeling inside and recognizing that and saying to myself, you know what, I'm not gonna put that mask on today. I'm actually just gonna sit with this and I'm gonna allow myself to process this and move on. That is you bringing value to yourself. You are prioritizing yourself, you're prioritizing your emotions, you're prioritizing your mental health, and therefore you are creating more value. And the more value you bring to yourself, the more you attract high value individuals because they see that in you and you see that in them. Don't attract yourself to somebody who may also be struggling in this department. Now, look, I'm not saying that those people don't deserve love or those people don't deserve relationships, but if you find yourself in a dynamic with somebody who has very similar insecurities as you do, you're only further fueling the flame of your own individual insecurities. So take a step back, spend some time with yourself. Ask yourself what value means to you, and if you actually value yourself. And if this is something that you are not 100% aware of, if you don't know how to identify value, I'm more than happy to support you and help you through that. I do that all the time with clients, and it's something that I've had to do with myself over the years, accepting my bisexuality, accepting who I am as an individual, and educating people on what it is to be a part of the queer community. So if this is something you're struggling with, this is a safe space. I created this channel, I created this community so that you would have a voice and you would be able to express yourself without judgment, because that's incredibly important in the growth process and maturing as an individual. So please, if you have any questions whatsoever, if this is something that you resonate with, if there's questions that you have, if you feel like I missed something, leave a comment down below. I love interacting with you guys. I love having open dialogue. And if you are just visiting the channel, please make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so that you can become part of the community and we can have these open conversations and build a community that is a safe space. Again, my name is Danny. I am a life and relationship coach, just in case you missed it in the beginning. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I will also provide a link in the description box for some coaching packages that I offer in case that is something that you want to utilize. Because at the end of the day, knowledge is strength, and the more you know, the more aware you become, the stronger identity you have, and the more likely you are to find that perfect individual. And do not forget, a healthy relationship is absolutely possible. It is not impossible. No matter what people say, no matter what the perception is, no matter what the stereotype is, it is possible. I have seen it. I have worked with people who are now in long-term relationships and incredibly happy and fulfilled. So if this is something you desire, I got you. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. Hope you're staying happy and healthy, and I'll see you in the next video.